Well,
Yes, Bob?
you want to talk about something very important.
Yes.
To you.
Yes, to me. And I think to a lot of people out there. I want to talk about some James Bond. Then you're going to do the gun barrel logo and then all that? No? Okay. Spectre comes out this week. It is the latest James Bond movie. It is Daniel Craig's fourth James Bond. And yeah, I just figure, we'll sit down and just talk about James Bond.
I love James Bond.
I love James Bond too.
I watch all of them as they come out.
Yes,
I think they're great.
Sort of become like a weird family tradition where we'll actually go watch James Bonds with.
Are we doing that?
I would like to. We should. Yeah, we should probably talk to our parents about that.
Peanuts comes out this
Same.
week.
Yeah, that could be a problem because our father, little personal information, he only likes two movies: Animal House and James Bond. But he also really loves the Peanuts, so we might have to do a double feature that day. Yeah.
We got to get him out of the house, which is a problem. But I watch all the James Bonds as they come out.
Mm-hmm.
Have no idea what the lore is or anything about James Bond. To me, they're all like independent movies.
Right. Well, typically, yeah. The great thing about James Bond, at least before Daniel Craig came on, was that continuity didn't really matter. You can just pick up a James Bond movie anywhere and just get the general gist of what's going on.
I was always lost.
Yeah.
I was always completely lost when I was watching James Bond.
Yeah.
But that's not why I watched it. I watched it because they're great action movies.
Yeah, they are really great action movies. And a lot of them are really great spy movies. People forget that he's a spy, especially like the early Connery stuff. He's doing a lot of really good like spy work and espionage and things like that.
Casino Royale.
Yes.
That's some good spy stuff.
That's some really good spy stuff. Skyfall has some really good spy stuff in that.
Yes.
So, yeah, definitely.
Skyfall was mostly him running away from something.
Yeah.
So that movie was very different to me than all the other James Bond movies because he was running away instead of running in.
Yeah. Well, Skyfall is weird. Skyfall came out on the 50th anniversary of James Bond.
Right.
And to me, Skyfall seemed like they were trying to celebrate James Bond while also trying to be modern and reinvent him in certain ways.
Okay.
This is opposed to Die Another Day, which came out on the 40th anniversary of James Bond and was just a disaster.
Right.
Because they've spent more time trying to reference themselves than they did trying to make a good movie.
That's the one with the boat, right?
That's the one with the invisible car.
Invisible car. Okay.
Yeah. Well, It's Not Enough had the boat.
Right.
Yeah.
That had the N64 game.
Yes.
Was Not Enough.
Yes. Which was actually pretty good.
What was that GameCube game?
Everything or Nothing.
Everything or Nothing. Great.
Oh my God. I was
Bond
gushing
game.
about that earlier today. Like, that is one of the best video games of that era. It's just so good. The motorcycle level in that game.
Yes.
Incredible.
I used to go back
Still
and play
holds up.
just that motorcycle level over and over again. That game, they had Pierce Brosnan voice it, and they had all these other famous people I don't remember in the game.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing. Like, I think our generation first was introduced to James Bond through the GoldenEye game.
Right, exactly.
And, people always hold GoldenEye up to these, like, high standards, which it deserves. But there were a lot of good James Bond games to follow after that. The World Is Not Enough, the N64 version, it was pretty good. I liked it. There were two levels that were impossible to beat, but other than that...
You had GoldenEye, and you had Everything or Nothing.
Nightfire was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, to me, they had some good games.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that, there have been now 6 actors who've played James Bond. Yeah, Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig. And everybody has their own James Bond. Like, it depends, like, who was your first James Bond? That might be your favorite James Bond. Who was, your parents' James Bond? Who was, if you read the Ian Fleming books, which is very different from the movies, which Bond, fits that critique. Everybody has their favorite Bond. Mine, probably because I grew up with him, is Pierce Brosnan. Like, hands down.
That's an interesting choice.
I know. Like, when you think of it, because I haven't seen them all, but I own them all.
You haven't seen them all?
No.
Wow.
There's like a couple of Roger Moore ones I haven't seen.
Oh, okay.
And those are Roger Moore is like generally agreed on. That happened, but I mean, Pierce Brosnan to me just encapsulates everything I think should be in James Bond. Like, he knew when to be serious, he knew when to be tough, he knew when to be, a badass assassin, basically, but he also knew when to, bring a levity to the absurdity around him. Now, granted, he was only in one good movie and one not too bad movie.
But him as a character, good.
Yeah, like
the movies were bad.
The movies were bad, but him himself, he fits what I think James Bond should be.
He can't really be in any other movies because he's
from now on it's just James Bond, which sucks. But
Daniel Craig said if he's going to be James Bond in another movie, he'll kill himself or something.
Yeah, I don't know if that's...
He's mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig.
I think that might just be him getting tired of doing interviews because he's probably got to do 1,000 interviews a day.
MGM jerks him around too.
Probably
because James Bond is the only thing that they have.
Yeah,
they're pretty much only around to do James
just
Bond
to do James Bond. Yeah,
and they have ridiculous production cycles, and they're in limbo for a really long time.
Yeah,
and he can't do anything else while he's in this limbo.
So I don't think that.
So it's
helps.
Probably a huge pain in the ass as an actor to be James Bond.
Yeah,
as cool as it is.
Yeah, because I know when Sean Connery was first James Bond, he did not want to do it past I think Thunderball. But they kept finding ways to bring him back.
He was probably the one that started everything.
Yeah, he was the first one.
Well, yeah, that would prove it. But no, he was the first one that, when he was doing it, it was like, all right, being James Bond is a big deal.
Yeah.
Who the hell are we going to get to replace him?
Yeah.
And then after that, and
then they found some people. I mean, for the most part, all the actors they've gotten have been really good. Even Roger Moore, even though he was James Bond until his 60s. They all brought something different. They all made the character their own. Not necessarily saying the movies were good, but
right. Who was the one who got married? Spoilers. Who got married and then the wife died immediately?
That was George Lazenby in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That was his only movie he was in.
I only remember that part. He's driving. They just got married. He's driving away from the church. And she just gets sniped out.
Yeah.
And he's like, no.
Here's the thing about that movie. Because, everybody shits on George Lazenby for only being in one James Bond. You look back at that movie, and it's considered one of the best Bond movies in the entire series. Yeah. I watched it again, recently, and, it holds up pretty well. It's got some good fight scenes in it, too. I mean, Lazenby's not the best Bond. I think we can all admit that. But, all things considered, that movie on a whole is pretty good.
It's amazing.
So,
what movies should I watch?
Should you watch?
I've seen a lot, but
I would recommend
from any of them.
If you want to get into James Bond, you should definitely try and watch at least one from each Bond. From Connery, I would recommend either From Russia with Love or Goldfinger. Maybe From Russia with Love just because it's a little more spy-like. I mean, Goldfinger is the most popular one. That's the one everybody remembers. But From Russia with Love, to me at least, is more like a spy movie. Roger Moore, I think everyone's pretty much in agreement. The only truly great Roger Moore movie is The Spy Who Loved Me, which it is. It's really good. You should watch On Her Majesty's Secret Service, despite it having Lazenby, because it is good. Timothy Dalton was only had 2 James Bond movies, and really either one will do you justice. License to Kill is a lot more violent than his first one, The Living Daylights, but no matter what, you're just gonna get the same results. Pierce Brosnan, GoldenEye, I think we can all agree on that. Daniel Craig, probably.
Casino Royale.
You think?
Yes.
Why?
Because Quantum of Solace was terrible.
Quantum of Solace is Quantum of Solace is
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't that great.
It wasn't that great. Yeah.
Skyfall, I don't think it's as much of a Bond movie as Casino Royale is.
Really?
Casino Royale is more of a spy thriller.
Yeah.
And Skyfall is more just an action movie.
See, I would actually recommend Skyfall because to me, Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, they were Bond movies, but they were doing everything they could to try. Thank you. They were doing what they could to take the tradition out of James Bond, if you think about it, because there was no gun barrel sequence. He didn't do a lot of his James Bond mannerisms. He didn't order martinis. He didn't, say his name properly. Didn't do this, didn't do that. And like Skyfall was the one where they started working back in like traditional elements, especially classic characters like Moneypenny and my favorite Q. So,
but I'd argue that Skyfall, they did all of that garbage, but the actual like progression of the movie wasn't a typical James Bond movie.
There was a lot,
Casino Royale had that Bond moment with the poker scene.
Yes.
That was like an hour long.
Yeah.
That you don't have a moment like that in Skyfall.
Right.
You just have like, action scene after action scene. And then there's some slow points that where they talk about, conspiracies and whatnot.
Yeah. Fun fact, I actually did read the book Casino Royale. That is a hard book to read. And in the book, it's a Baccarat tournament. And there's actually a chapter, because I think Fleming knew that Americans don't know how to play Baccarat. There's a chapter that teaches you how to play Baccarat, because Bond is explaining it to West Berlin.
Right.
That is the most boring chapter of any book I've ever read in my life.
Was that just like added in the American version?
Yeah. Oh. And I think I like halfway through, I'm just like, skip. And just went right to the next chapter.
That's so lame.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the only like James Bond book I've read. I know the books he's a disaster of a human being. He's a misanthrope. He's a raging alcoholic. He's, just a really bad person. And the movies like just soften him up a lot.
The movies he's like the perfect man.
Yeah. He is. He's what every man should probably aspire to be. If we're being real here. Yeah. So it's amazing that, the books are still held in such high regard, even though Bond as a character in the books is a bastard.
Right.
So,
do you think that anybody needs to watch any of the movies in particular before going into seeing
Spectre?
Spectre?
The thing, Bond is always try to latch on to what's popular at the time. Currently, what's popular at the time is continuity and shared universes, and Spectre actually specifically references the past Daniel Craig movies. I think, like, if we're being honest, probably the only one you absolutely need to see is Casino Royale. But I believe they reference Quantum of Solace and Skyfall.
Okay.
So, like, if you have time, see all of them, all the Daniel Craig Bonds, but specifically Casino Royale.
I saw all of them, and I don't remember anything from any of them. So, I'll be going in pretty much blind, and I'm sure I'll have a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because, I mean, even when a Bond film is bad, there's, like, stuff in it that...
I still enjoyed myself during Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, I mean, if Quantum of Solace is on, like, I'll watch it for a little bit. Or, like, if even Moonraker, which was the one where he goes to space.
Oh, that's a fun movie.
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, this is the one when James Bond goes to space.
Yeah.
So...
But yeah, Quantum of Solace, that was... I enjoyed myself. I have no idea what was happening story-wise.
Yeah, no, because it had a really bad story.
It had an end war at the end,
which
was good. What do you guys think about James Bond? Are you going to see it? And
all the various James Bond medias that he's a part of. Warren Ellis just put out a James Bond comic from Dynamite. Check that out. It's really good.
It's got some good art in it.
Closer to the Ian Fleming James Bond than the movie James Bond, but still pretty good. Check it out. Good. 4 stars.
Leave it in the comments below. Us on Twitter, all the social media garbage. What else? Videos every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yep.
And live stream on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, and have a good week. I forgot we're giving away something.
Somehow got a code for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain on the PS4. Now, we already own that.
Yes.
So I don't have any use for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it to one of you out there in video land.
So you're going to tweet us.
Yes.
That seemed to work great last time.
Yes.
Tweet at us or go on Instagram, I guess.
Yeah.
Use the hashtag WolfDen
MGSV.
Yes. WolfDen MGSV. And what should they do?
Tell us your favorite Metal Gear character from any game and why.
Ooh, I like that.
It can be, specific if possible. If it's, I know Twitter you can't use a lot of characters, but if it's vague in general, whatever. Just go to Twitter, tweet at us, use the hashtag WolfDen MGSV. Your
What's
favorite?
Your favorite one?
Liquid Snake.
Ooh.
Liquid Snake. He's so flamboyant and pompous.
I don't know what mine is. Oh, I know what mine is. Gray Fox.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gray Fox.
All right, so get us on Twitter.
All right.
See ya. Goodbye.
Bye.
Superman, the Man of Steel, the original superhero and the one that all others are measured up to. He's the ultimate symbol of not just what a good hero should be, but what a good person should be. And yet, people f***ing hate this guy.
If it's not an automated level, it's usually a super hard level. Most of the levels that I get sent to me are really hard. There's a place for hard levels, and don't get me wrong, I love a good hard level, but just because it's hard doesn't make it smart or interesting or fun.